address it last week because at the time we did not have a theme song.
Yes, but now we do.
Now it's a theme song.
It is very great. Very great. I'm ecstatic. That's the...
Oh yeah, thanks Randy. We could probably just say his
shout
name.
him out.
I'll ask him later if he wants his whole name on there, but my buddy Randy mixed that up for me.
Yeah.
Us
together.
Speaking of us, I'm Zach.
I'm Vince.
We are nerdy neighbors. We never actually rehearsed that. That was completely organic.
And it seems that way.
Yes. We didn't spend a half an hour before the show first stretching, getting our instruments prepared, doing our lip lip exercises where we say really tough words.
Yeah.
What's yours again?
Unique New York.
Oh, yep. I just say rhinoceros.
Well, that's a good one to have. Always in the...
I should have told you yours so that I could have made you say it.
Oh, boy.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's too much freedom.
Yeah, I really did. I should not have set you up with, what's yours again?
So, this is Nerdy Neighbors. It's the podcast that me and my nerdy neighbor, Zach, do.
Oh, no. Let's also say we talk about nerdy stuff that interests us.
We talk about nerdy stuff that interests us.
It's not that cohesive.
Absolutely not. It is tangential and
at best
meandering and very difficult to follow. There's a perpetual spoiler warning for anything that we talk about.
Oh, yes, thank you. Always There's a spoiler warning, with maybe some exceptions. My homework today, I will try not to spoil.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. We'll save all the later. Deep spoilers until the very end.
But be warned, people.
Yes.
Whatever random stuff we talk about, we will be talking about them in depth, probably. Or at least not from a place of, let's try to keep this precious for people who haven't seen it. Listen at your own risk.
Yes. So,
let's talk news, baby.
Getting right into news. So, it has been confirmed by DC and Michael Rooker that James Gunn is writing and directing Suicide Squad 2. Yeah, and the crowd goes mild.
No, I'm excited.
I'm also excited for it. I'm excited because
I've warmed to this since the pilot.
He's supposed to be taking Suicide Squad in a new direction. And I think we talked about it on the pilot, which will never air. But if James Gunn is in, that means that Jared Leto is out.
Yeah.
Because famously, James Gunn does not approve of Jared Leto.
Yeah. Well, he's doing Morbius.
Yeah. So,
he's doing Marvel's Emo Vampire.
Well, Sony's Emo Vampire.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be in the
Batman
villain, or in the Spider-Man villain universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, moving on. Hey, let's stick to the good news. Yeah. James Gunn's directing. Why is Michael Rooker commenting on this?
He was at a Walker Stalker or Stalker Walker, something like that.
He's at a convention.
Either a convention or like some sort of get together.
In between Jack and Cokes.
Right. Exactly.
He said, "No, he's directing it."
He was asked about how he felt about the whole James Gunn situation. He said it was terrible that he was let go for that reason, and that he's confident he'll bounce back on his feet because he has this new gig. So obviously they're staying in touch if he goes.
No, they're buds
exactly.
famously like whenever
James Gunn does anything.
That, and also I think he likes to do press tours with them.
Yeah,
I think he just likes rolling around with Rooker and giving him shit. And
rolling around with Rooker is going to be
our next podcast.
Yeah, the podcast we start up with.
I'm good at naming stuff.
You are.
I have to follow through and making a good product. But if you just need me to do some alliteration, I'm there.
He's gotcha. And then that's about it for that piece of news. It's already been.
You think Rooker will be in it?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think
that guy screams Suicide Squad.
He does, but who would he scream Suicide Squad?
I don't know.
Like
pick a. I would watch Michael Rooker do anything.
I have no doubts about his acting prowess, but
make
when
him Bane. I'm fine with it. Oh, Vince!
Dave Bautista as Bane is such a good choice.
Have you seen the quick tangent? Have you seen the Gotham Bane? And that aesthetic?
I have not. I have not kept up on Gotham.
We're doing that on mic. I need you to.
Okay, this is the start of an edit point. Future Vince.
Well, maybe not, because I might. Here's the thing, I've never watched this show ever. I really not like on principle, but you've heard me say this a couple of times. I don't think this is for me.
Right.
And I don't begrudge anyone who enjoys that show. I like it. It falls into the same place for me. Here you go, buddy.
Oh yeah, I have it right here. That's
What do you think of that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a new take. I'm not.
Listen to him.
It's not very comic accurate, but hey,
it's not very comic accurate.
But it doesn't matter.
It's like, a little.
Gotham isn't comic accurate.
It's a little cyborgy.
Yeah, it doesn't. It definitely looks like that's keeping him alive.
It looks to me.
It looks like Darth Vader.
And again, I'm going to sound like the biggest Star Trek fan. To me, it looks like bad Borg cosplay.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It doesn't. It's not just a question of and I don't have a bee in my bonnet about this, but this is what to me is funny, or at least commentable.
Yeah,
it's not so much this isn't comic accurate.
Right.
It's what does this aesthetic communicate to us, the audience?
Right.
Let's say and so obviously, yeah, he's not well.
Yeah,
he's probably
he
sick. That thing's
sick,
probably keeping him alive. So let's go back to comic accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Bane's deal? Or is he kind of like addicted to this thing that makes him stronger and stronger?
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
I mean, depending on...
It depends on the timeline, essentially.
Of course.
When he's first introduced, he's just the jack dude who uses venom to supplement his already, admirable strength.
Yes.
But then later on, he becomes dependent on it. There's that whole series
I
where
really
Batman
thought
becomes dependent on it.
I really thought you would think that was funnier. Just looking at it, I really thought you'd go,
okay. It's goofy. It looks like
Gotham's at it again.
It looks like he's wearing shoulder pads. And, he's got a crazy lapel.
And gray villain.
Yeah, it's more blue, but, that's fine.
I think if you see him well lit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, what's your other piece of news, bro?
So, other piece of news is the famously, or infamously, absent Fantastic Four have returned to the Marvel comic universe.
Yeah.
Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and then their two kids,
They're back
Franklin
from fixing
and
creation.
Valeria. Exactly.
Yeah.
Their reasoning as to why they left, I thought was amazing and so poignant. Is just that they were tired of dealing with universe-ending threats all the time, and they just wanted a break, which is perfect. They took their family on a vacation from responsibility.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they also, in very Marvel kind of form, they're also we're building stuff. There's a point to this field trip.
Right.
He's got these students with him that he's teaching about.
Yeah, and I think it gives the option to
creation.
Fantastic Four to definitely
it's very biblical.
It gives them the ability to dive into solving actual scientific problems in the Marvel comic universe, as opposed to just being another superhero team.
Well, I liked, because I read some of that stuff, I liked that it was kind of a return to form. Not that I'm a big fan of the early 60s stuff, because to be honest, buddy, I just don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel true to form for them, to just be bombing around the universe, encountering new things, and Reed has to work it out.
Exactly.
And they've integrated the kids into it. I think great. I love when people add an ensemble and don't need to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to you about Brand New Day before and my issues with that.
Yeah.
But, it's cool that they're back. It's really cool. I really hope that book finds its feet.
Same. I really hope they get back to that family dynamic. That they had. And the world's first superhero family.
And also, these weird Magic School Bus people.
Exactly.
That go to these strange places.
Do something wacky and fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it for news. It's been a very slow news week.
I have no news because nothing I read felt like it was worth mentioning.
Zach.
What's up?
Let's talk Titans.
Let's talk Titans. The Titans show is out. They're 4 episodes in as of this recording. If you're listening to this in the future, you've seen a lot more of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to it in the past, how did we send this to the past?
I don't know.
That just blew Vince's mind.
Thomas Jefferson. Hit up the Twitter at nerdy_pod.
All right. Well, let's let nerdy_pod.
Yeah.
How do you want to do this? Here's. I don't have a pitch necessarily, but I will present you with facts.
Yeah, definitely.
I have an overall kind of opinion I can give you, having watched the first 2 episodes and half the third.
Right.
And I also have notes.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you caught up? Have you seen all 4?
I've seen 3.
Okay.
I've seen up to Origins. I haven't seen Doom Patrol, which is the 4th episode.
Well, let's start. Let's do big wasping comments. Okay. So overall, would you give it a thumbs up, a thumbs kind of sideways, like, I don't know, jury's out,
right?
Or this is just what you've seen so far.
Yep.
Don't
the series as it is right now.
Don't do your quote unquote optimist thing. Listen, with the facts as we have them.
Facts as we have them.
So thumbs up, thumbs sideways, like I'm
ambivalent or
yes, precisely.
Yes, thumbs up for me.
Okay.
After the first episode,
2 thumbs up.
After the first episode, it was 2 thumbs, middling.
Mm-hmm.
Second episode, I thought they really hit their stride. Third episode opened up a lot of doors that I think they can close later on in the season. I'm a fan.
Okay.
How about you, Zach?
I'm giving. You're saying 2 thumbs up.
I'm saying 2 thumbs up
with a straight face.
Yes.
Hades,
I'm giving 2 thumbs way up.
Yes, that's the key to my heart. Now I'm about to give 2 thumbs up just for that Hercules reference, but I can't.
Okay.
Because I must give a thumb up and a sideways thumb.
Okay.
I really, really...
Well, let's talk about what we enjoy about it
first. Okay. And not just what I enjoy. I have a real comment on the fight scenes.
Okay.
The first fight scene with Robin and those other guys.
Toughs.
None of this is in my notes. This is my overall thing.
Off the top of the
I was just going... I thought to myself, boy, this is cutting really hard. Every other fight scene I've seen, I have enjoyed pound for pound more than most of the fight scenes from the latter Marvel shows.
Right.
Unbelievably.
Yeah.
Because I think what this show is doing better than Marvel, or what the Marvel, not so much better, but what the Marvel show's strength, and it turns out also sort of a kryptonite thing, is this super realistic fighting.
Right.
Where a guy doesn't just get knocked out from one punch.
No, the Daredevil season 1 hallway fight where he shows fatigue throughout the fight.
Yes, and I think that fight, as great as it was, put them in this weird place where they think this is the strength, this is what we always need to do.
Yep.
That's a different conversation. That's a different conversation.
Yes.
Because this is very awesome kind of pulpy and comic book.
It feels like a comic book.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I thought I was going to
slowing down, no loss of momentum. He stays on it.
Yeah.
It's great.
But also, I thought I was going to be distracted by the kind of like I call it Tarantino blood splashes.
Right. Yep.
Where it's just like, a guy gets an R batarang in his eye, and it's just. Yep. And not like towards the screen,
nope,
but in a way that's like pointed. But I do and don't like that. This is very rated R.
Yeah, no, I agree.
There's not going to be nudity.
That point of view, like that way, is a good way of getting away from a censor.
But I've been enjoying the fight scenes more, and not the first one, but I think the first one got a lot of editing.
Yeah,
and I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this.
Right.
But fuck Batman makes sense in context.
Yeah.
And Vince, why was that in the marketing?
The 2 words that sent the world astray.
Well, no.
There were the 2 words heard round the world.
I don't think any of us were astray from that. I think we should have never been given that, as this is your first nibble.
But when we were, fans lashed out. What do you mean? Blah, 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 blah. That's not Dick Grayson. Stop. This is from it's from a writer who worked on Riverdale and Dawson's Creek. The other writer worked on.
No, don't excuse that. Given no context,
what I'm saying, they build up to drama. Like there's never a misplaced word.
No, we have to talk about notes then.
Okay.
No, we can't get into that.
Okay, that's fine.
I will say, this is really what I want. I'm going to force you to agree with me on this.
Okay.
That should have never been in the marketing. That should have never been one of our first nibbles, because it is a line that depends on context. And I know they're thinking is, whoa, the audience is going to go.
Isn't your daddy's Grayson?
What makes Dick so mad at Batman? I gotta find out. I gotta watch.
Right.
But it's insane to me that people who are paid to do that job think that that's going to be the reaction.
But it worked.
We should have. No, it didn't. It pissed a bunch of people off, and it made me come into this.
It pissed a bunch of people off who are watching Titans now.
I think they pulled that
right.
Like, and it wasn't because we gave them a taste. Now it was because it wasn't savvy. It was shit, we got to overcorrect. And I am sure that the way he said it in the convention trailer that I saw when it first came out,
right,
is not the cut they used in the show.
No.
And again, I think it's them going. I bet that's again why I think that fight scene was reshot a couple of times.
Oh yeah,
because I think the convention and the internet reaction to it correctly was. And look, I don't think people should be going, he should never say that. I think we should be going, is the context right that he's saying that, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Should we say it since we do spoilers? Like the context of that is. Like, those guys, when he
there are
showed
a bunch of
up...
thugs who don't take him as a threat,
Yeah,
and
when
they're
he
waiting to see
he
it.
shows up...
Yeah, exactly.
And they all are still just like... They barely regard him, and they still looking up. Like, anyone see Batman?
Right.
So, of course, like, it's not like, I'm mad at Daddy. It's, fuck that guy. I'm a threat.
I'm the threat.
It pays off.
I agree.
If you're given the bloody context.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know... Unless I'm misunderstanding you, I think a part of what you're saying is... No, they wanted to bother us.
Yeah.
They wanted. I don't think they're smart enough.
You're not giving heads of departments enough credit.
No, well, marketing is not a creative thing.
What?
It's not the way it's done.
Wait until we see how we market this show.
Not the way it's done on that level. I don't think artistry goes into it. I think it's very by the numbers.
Right.
And I think part of the reason it's out of creative's hands is because studios feel more comfortable doing that by the numbers. I think that's just facts of life. And misfires like that are why creative should be more involved.
So I'm going to ask a question. After seeing that bit of marketing, you changed the way you went into watching Titans, correct?
Yeah, with a negative light, because I'm expecting it to be overdramatic.
Listen, exactly. That's exactly the point.
Right.
Titans is overdramatic. In those two little words, that one scene, they were able to depict to you what the show is going to be like, what Dick Grayson's character is like, and the world that you're in.
Let's get into notes.
Okay, let's get into it. So how do you have your notes split up? I'm just sort of...
I have them written down
stream of consciousness.
Like a madman who... Yeah, I have little things written down. Yeah, I have little things written down that we will talk about. Or won't. Maybe once I read it, it'll be... So I'm glad that... I actually enjoy that it starts with... And I was wondering what you didn't like about the first episode, but I enjoy that it starts with the death of... Like, there's this dream sequence that Raven's having of the death of the Graysons. Right. Because number one, with a bullet,
yep,
pun intended, I'm so glad I'm not seeing the fucking Waynes die again. If I have to see one more pearl bounce on a freshly wet cement, I don't even know what I'll do.
Perpetually raining in Gotham City.
I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed kind of getting to see the emotion of that, because I feel like that's always just kind of reflected in we've seen it happen to Bruce, so we can imagine it. It's not... I've never seen that depicted in film like that, other than the animated series.
Wait, what about Grayson's Batman and Robin?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like that. That type of emotion and that kind of gravitas. Okay. Batman and Robin, it's done pulp. That's a different conversation. Yeah,
but it's easy to disregard. Batman and Robin is writing Titans.
No. Who?
It is. I will look it up right now.
No. All right. So I enjoyed that, and I also kind of enjoyed that it's like this. I enjoy what they're doing. Goldsmith, yeah. Goldsman. I see his name all over the place. We should do an Akiva Goldsman episode. Yeah, because I have some problems with him. But yeah, I enjoy it also as an extension of Raven's power.
Yep.
The way it's presented to us is not in this ham-fisted way where Dick's remembering it or something like that. It's a neat way to open the show and introduce us to the character and what she's capable of.
Right.
Yeah, comments?
No, I very much like that. I don't really have an issue with the first episode. I just didn't think that it was cohesive in the way that it projected the series to us.
Well, okay. So my first note is glad it's not the Wayne's dying again.
Yeah.
My second note is Raven's mom.
Yeah.
That is a crazy wig they have her in.
Sure.
That's a wiggy wig. No, okay, so as our friendship develops, you will learn this about me.
That you
I not only do I notice them, I am very distracted by bad ones.
Have you ever seen Fan Four Stick?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it'll be homework.
Maybe.
Probably
not.
Also, her mom is Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, yeah.
Yeah. Her mom's Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always exciting for me. Hey, Twin Peaks lady.
Exactly. Did you
but
get Carrie vibes?
Crazy wig. Carrie vibes? I guess.
A little bit. Like the over religious household and the...
Well, yeah, but I kind of saw what they were... I know what's happening ultimately, so
right.
I get why that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think Carrie immediately. I thought this is an interesting...
I thought like Carrie with a like wholesome household.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm not saying you're crazy for making that parallel. Right. It's not what I thought at all. Yeah, I thought no, this is a good move. If I was writing this, I would do something kind of cliche and hacky like this.
Right, so shoot the mom.
So and shoot the mom. I wrote, Dick doesn't want a partner. Ooh. And I also, after Robin shows up and people are like, and the detective's like, he hasn't been seen in Gotham for a year.
Yeah.
Nobody
made the connection.
No one in there, especially like, he's the only white guy in that room.
Right.
No one in there's going, hey, Grayson.
You have a similar build and you're from Gotham, right?
So, and you have to, because these notes are kind of chronological. Sure. So I love the directing and writing trope of this person is sad or this person doesn't have it together, and you can tell because there are a lot of pills in their room, mm-hmm. and they take them with wine.
Yep.
I love that trope of like, this person is damaged, this person is not doing well, all those kinds of things. And you think, hey, maybe something will happen here. The quick note,
sure.
This is a really quick one. The fight that happens on the school bus,
yep.
That bus driver takes way too long to step in.
I agree.
You can tell that's escalating.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
even hey, calm down.
I think he kind of wondered who was going to win in that fight.
Yeah.
Okay, I wrote this down, and I have a feeling if we continue to talk about the show, this might come up more than once.
Sure.
And I wrote, Dick might be a bad cop. Because he does seem to be, as we meet him, he's spending his day kind of casing this guy.
Yep.
And since we see him dispatch the guy as Robin, we know that he wasn't casing the guy kind of on the books.
Correct.
The point of this was not to make an arrest.
Right.
And also, it's revealed that Dick has a soft spot for kids who are hurt. And the real reason he's following this kind of drug pin guy.
Well, wasn't it like revealed in some like webpage article or a newspaper article that he recently got off? Like he was taking a trial and got off?
Yes, there's a yes.
So
we've established he's a bad guy, of course.
Right. This is an extracurricular activity
yes.
For Mr. Grayson.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's doing it on the books, and he's using his connections.
Yeah.
And so far we haven't seen him do an iota of police work for the Detroit police.
Right.
He just does his own missions.
So I'm going to defend.
He seems to have a lot of time off.
Yep.
He can go to Ohio. He can go to DC. Everyone else seems to be at the job. When he calls people and he needs them to do stuff for them, everyone else is at the office.
He is on the case. Okay, so here, I'm going to defend this a little bit.
Okay.
So, I don't think that Dick Grayson wants to be a good police officer. I think that he is trying to be a full-time Nightwing, or full-time Robin.
No, at this point in the show, he's presenting as a person who doesn't want that life anymore.
I disagree.
That's what he says to Dove in the second episode. He says, I'm out of that life.
Yeah, no, I think by out of that life...
You don't know what I've become.
Right, I think by out of that life, he means that he's out of the Gotham Batman shadow.
They're in DC. No. I mean, I don't want to get hunkered down in this disagreement.
Right, so I'm going to continue on.
Okay.
I don't think that Robin wants to be a good police officer. I think that Robin wants to use the Chicago PD. They could have said it. Detroit. They could have said it anywhere. I don't think that he wants to be a good police officer. I think he wants to use the tools that are available to the police in addition to his Wayne Tech.
Well, that's the other thing. Why isn't he in Bloodhaven? Have they told us that?
They have not. Not that I've remembered.
That's a strange thing. I was kind of thinking, because we've cut around the country in the show, another, despite your theory, which is all it is, because there's nothing in the text.
Yeah, I agree.
Despite your theory, all I'm seeing is, I thought to myself, right when they established he's a cop, I thought to myself, I bet she's going to have a lot of days off. So let's move on from that. I think he might be a bad cop.
Sure. I agree.
And I don't know that there's anything in the text that's saying to us he's not even trying to be a cop.
Yeah, you gotta read between the lines there.
No, there's no. Reading between the lines is not what you're doing.
That's
you're
what I'm
imposing
doing.
No, you're imposing your theory of intent onto a character, and we've given no signs of it in the text. Which I actually is my theory that you do a lot. No, you can't call something subtext when you go, it's what I see inexplicably.
Okay, but it's not inexplicable. Like
no, it's the only thing that logically makes sense other than...
No, not even that. We learned Dick Grayson's origin. Like, the quickest origin story ever through that fight with the Street Tops.
Right.
He was in this life. He knows how to handle himself. He brought his Robin costume to Detroit. He is here for a reason. He is here to be Robin.
All right.
That's my...
Yeah,
that's
okay, fine. When you put it that way, I see a little bit more what you're saying, but I do think he's a bad cop, and I don't think that they're actually writing for that. I think it's just convenient. It's why I wouldn't have made him a cop. Okay. I know it works in a comic a little bit better in a show like this. It's like you said when we talked about Daredevil, like if you're going to make it real, then people got to go, why are you never here?
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to give it that evidence.
And why does his partner so bloody patient with it? Anyways.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that partner problem. I wrote a lot of hard cuts. I guess it works. That's me coming to terms with the fact that I like this fighting.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk to you about something a little heady.
Okay, sure.
Which is, what do you think of causality? What do you think of, like Heath Ledger's kind of, I saw you doing what you were doing, and you inspired me.
Right.
What do you think of that? As a, do you think there's much stock in that? Like, for instance...
Yeah, lay an example.
For instance, would there be a Batman without a Joker? Or, no, pardon me. Would there be a Joker without a Batman? Yeah. Putting aside whatever you think of the myth and his origin and blah, 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 just as if you were, as a writer, if you were given this, what do you think of that concept?
I think that any escalation breeds escalation. So, the fact that Bruce Wayne did not feel as though the police were adequate enough to handle the crime that was filling Gotham, he donned this mantle, which means that now the criminals are going to think that
they're a cowardly and superstitious lot.
Sure, but they're also going to now think, hey, we are getting our butts whooped by this Bat guy. We need a Bat guy.
Right.
And then it'll continue escalating from there. It's essentially a power.
I 100% agree with that. I would obviously say it different, because I'm a different person. But I do think every action has a reaction. I do think that while you can't necessarily blame Batman for Joker,
right,
you also can't not factor it in.
Yeah.
And then of course you get into a place of like morality and like, well, who does more harm than good, and like
what's better, good or justice?
Well, and also like you can't really undo things once you start being Batman. Stopping being Batman doesn't necessarily stop things from getting worse.
Right.
So okay. So we're kind of on the same boat there.
Yeah.
So that being said, I agree with his grouchy boss.
Yeah.
That the last thing Detroit needs is a guy like Robin, because he will breed more of this crazy stuff, and that's the last thing the city needs.
Yeah, I very much like that his boss had that. It's like it's an anti-Commissioner Gordon stance. In that, like, Commissioner Gordon was originally against it, learned to sort of deal with it and cope with it, and eventually rely on Batman. I love that Dick's boss just doesn't want it.
And you know what I'm just thinking now? You know what I think bothers me about him being a bad cop is I'm excited by the idea of Dick being a cop.
In the comics?
No. Just as a concept on the show, like, it would be a fun thing. It would be like, but you know what I'm also now just realizing is, oh no, I want to watch Daredevil.
Right.
Like, I want to watch a guy who's fighting crime by day his way, or the legal way, and then at night his way.
Yeah.
But like, I do. Genuinely, I'm disappointed that that's not an ensemble we're going to know. We're probably not going to know the Chief that much unless he's convenient.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think the Chief will be a big plot integral character.
So there was the scene where we haven't seen Dick do much in this first episode. We haven't seen much of his character. He's done a lot. He hasn't said a lot.
Right.
And he has he's very dismissive to the person they assigned to be his partner.
Yep.
And then towards the end of the episode, they have kind of a nice exchange, which seems inexplicable, and he suddenly seems very affable.
Right. So I'm going to go on. This is definitely me reading too much into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that in this universe, the Oracle situation has already happened. And Dick is hesitant to get a new partner for that reason. Like, I think the whole Batman issue, like, he doesn't want to have a partner in that sense. That has its own merit. But me definitely reading too much into it, no text, no subtext even. I think that the Oracle situation has already happened. Barbara has already been paralyzed, and he maybe sees it as his fault.
All right. Well, call it a lack of imagination or too high of expectation.
Right.
But I was watching that scene, and I wrote this note.
Sure.
So far, I don't like him.
Okay. Understandable.
And then cut to Starfire.
Starfire.
Who, man, I hate this trope. I really do. I hate the trope of who am I, where am I, where.
The amnesia trope.
Yes.
Yeah, I can understand.
I do. I don't have the patience for it when I know who it is. It's a lot more fun when it's not. When it's a brand new character. When it's Jason Bourne, it's cool. Because I don't know. I'm not in a hurry for him to know how cool he is. Because I don't know how cool he is.
Right, you're excited for the journey.
Yeah. And I appreciate that there will be people watching this who don't. I just think it's a weird place to start. Not even weird. I think it's a tiresome place to start.
Okay. I'd agree with you there.
I hate the trope. And here, I just wrote dialogue.
Right. Some of the best dialogue in the game.
Oh my god.
It's so campy and soap opera.
It's
and
not.
I love it.
No.
It's so great.
I don't like. It can be campy and soap opera, but other times it's doing the thing that I don't like that they do in Arrow, that I don't like that they kind of do in the Dark Knight movies, which are these one sentence conversations.
Right.
I hate it. It bothers me.
Does one stick out to you in particular?
Yes. May I perform it?
Yes, by all means.
So they are. It's in the first episode, and they're leaving from the room where she just killed the priest guy, who had a lot of, I think, great exposition. Genuinely.
Yep. Because
it's really like if you know who Trigon is and who Raven is and all that kind of stuff, it's like, oh yeah, he's a he's a crazy good guy. Not really a good guy, but he's a crazy guy who doesn't want Trigon to come.
Correct.
So they're leaving, and it begins this way. Robin, Dick has a Porsche.
Yep.
Very, very nice Porsche.
Yep.
And she goes, Porsche? He goes, family heirloom. And she goes, from the circus? And he goes, wrong family. And then they're in the car.
Right.
And she's staring at the window.
Yep.
And it's very moody. And she kind of sees her dark reflection thing.
Yep.
And she turns to him. And mind you, the last thing he talked, wrong family.
Right.
Quiet.
Yep.
My mom told me there's no such thing as monsters. But I think there are. And then cut to Starfire waking up.
Yep.
And these one sentence back and forths, I feel like, are stalling. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't communicate anything. We don't need for him to say to anyone, Bruce gave me this Porsche. Because it does not matter. And either you probably already know that, you can communicate it somewhere else, somehow else.
Right.
And it's very much being communicated that he's mad at Daddy. So this other thing of, wrong family, it doesn't do anything. We're not pushing the story forward. We're not doing anything.
Okay.
It's fluff. And it's not good fluff.
I'm going to defend this.
Okay. All right.
Wrong family implies that he sees Bruce as his family.
Right.
In the same vein
it
that he
that,
saw
sure.
his mother and his father.
Sure, it does that.
So I think that...
Again, I think not in an interesting way.
I don't know. I feel as though this happens in the first episode. They need to show us these characters, their whole deal, what they care about, what they see as important. So when he says, the Porsche is a family heirloom, wrong family, that shows he has two families that he cares about. This shows that he cares about Bruce.
Right. Okay, I'll give you that.
He might be
I
mad
have a problem
at
with the one sentence stuff. And maybe it does do that. I
as
really
a fan
think
of good dialogue, I also had the same issue.
There's a lot of this
That's
one
fine.
sentence stuff.
Yeah.
This
I agree.
This first episode one is just the beginning.
Yeah, I don't like that they answer cutted to Starfire after I think monsters exist. I would have very much liked for that answer cut to go directly over to the super hit family.
They're called Just the Family.
Yeah, Just the Family. They inject themselves with
the
syndrome.
They I think are done perfectly.
Yeah, I very much like
That's
that.
Amazing.
I originally thought
this is another thing I think they're doing better than Marvel because they're just killers.
Yeah, they broke my expectations a bit because I thought that the dad was going to get activated and that he was going to go on like this solo thing. His family wasn't going to know about it, and then he immediately turns family road trip. Yeah, and they treat it like it's an activity, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Yeah. I didn't think he was going to. But yeah, I love them. Everything about them is fucking great. Okay, so second episode.
Yep. Hawk and Dove.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. I don't know those characters.
You don't know Hawk and Dove?
Not at all.
Oh man, Hawk and Dove are great.
Are they newish?
No. Hawk and Dove have been around for a long time.
No shit.
Yeah. Normally it's two guys. Instead of it being...
Were they in the Batman Incorporated books? Because I read those.
I don't think so. No, I think they were a bigger part in Justice League.
Yeah, that's a real blind spot for me.
Yeah, and they also had their own series, Hawk and Dove.
Okay.
I don't remember them being in Teen Titans, but I could be wrong.
They're a whole new world to me. I have no expectations going in. So we're in the second episode now?
Yep.
And I wrote, not a fan of the music while torture scene. Not a fan of, like, it's a big cliche. It didn't take me out. I just jotted this down.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I enjoyed it.
I wasn't mad at him.
Yeah.
And I could totally see myself doing that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And just, when it was happening, it's a show that's going to confront us.
Somebody's, like, nose off.
Yeah, but it's a show that's going to confront us with a lot of these cliches. So I do think a smart director or a savvy writer will try to limit themselves.
Right.
And because it's a thing I personally am going to have an eye out for from time to time. But yeah, I don't want to get bogged down in that. I just did write it down.
Yeah.
Also wrote down a lot of fucks. They say fuck a lot more in the first 3 minutes of this episode than they do just the once.
Yes.
That hot guy says fuck a lot.
Yeah, I honestly like that. I do not like the fact that they use the F word as much as they do. I think that is lazy writing. And I think there are ways to portray your characters beyond that. But that being said, with how often Hawk said that,
I think it's a character choice, right?
I think that's a character choice.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
He is over it.
Yeah.
He's one job away from retirement.
Yeah,
and he just wants to be done.
He says "what the fuck" like 3 times in that episode.
Yeah,
or fucking, or like I think it's just a character thing, which is fine.
Okay.
I also wrote down a lot of fucks I just felt like was worth mentioning.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're definitely taking it away from the whole PG aspect. They are trying... I think this is like their response to Deadpool. Like, hey, we can be gritty and
I think it's
whatever.
Less a response to
still be funny.
It's got to be the Marvel shows they're responding to. Because it's also stuff... Right. I feel like they definitely looked at I feel like they had to look at those Marvel fight scenes and go, what's wrong with this?
Yeah. And the fact that they could improve on them was,
a lot of people,
at least some of them,
at least about Iron Fist, were very vocal.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And I think even with Luke Cage, it can get repetitive.
Yeah, I mean that was I like that they addressed that in the first season or in the first episode of season 2 with Luke Cage, where he's just getting shot at and he looks at the guys, he's just like, really?
Yeah,
like you don't know already?
Yeah, guys, like I gotta try,
man.
Yeah. It's good. Wonderful. Yeah, right. You're right. So I also wrote at the end of the scene.
Yep.
Really don't know about those goggles.
Listen.
I'm not asking you to defend them.
fighting crime in any sort of outfit is a weird choice. Daredevil Season 1, the black outfit, is perfect. Because that's what a normal person would wear. That's a different
conversation.
Right, but that's what a normal person would wear. Yeah. When you're going into... Again, they're setting the mood for the series. We're gonna do comic accurate stuff. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, it's gonna look weird in places. It's gonna look awesome in others. Yeah. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, no, I don't know. The goggles. Sure,
I don't know about these goggles, Bob.
But I think
I love fun. You so much. I would like take my hand. So take my hand. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Fun. I don't know about these goggles.
That's completely fine.
It's what I would say to the fashion lady, whoever's in charge. Like let's just look at some masks. Let's look at some other stuff.
Well, here's the thing. They can't.
I don't want to get too bogged down in this.
Yeah, they can't do a domino mask because that's going to be too much like Robin. They don't want to do a full face mask
you're right.
because
of course
you need
you're
to
right.
be able to distinguish the characters out.
No, you're right. You're right.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, and I just don't know about that. Okay, so guess what I wrote next? You'll never guess. I wrote dialogue. Because there's more one-sentence dialogue. Immediately, when he's healing up in the...
right. I love that scene, by the way.
I did not, because it's a lot of one-sentence dialogue.
Okay.
And then we cut to a love scene.
Yep.
Where I guess he can't perform.
Right.
I guess also due to his massive amounts of injuries.
Yep.
I appreciate that detail, by the way.
Yeah,
I appreciate
what I liked
this
about
is
the
taking
scene.
a toll.
Yep.
This guy, not in a bad way, in a very human way that's relatable. He's not Batman.
Exactly.
And
he's not Superman is the issue.
But also, Batman's a normal guy, but he's sort of not because of his weird obsession with the mission.
Right.
And
he will power through regardless, but other people don't have that
and
resolve.
This is, again, what I like about this guy, and hey, my own little subtext that I'm projecting onto the show, what I like about what this says about this world is, I like showing this guy whose heart is clearly in the right place, and who...
His body can't keep up.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he wants to be Batman, but I'm saying he wants to be a guy like Batman.
Right, he wants to make the change.
Yeah. And it's taking a toll. But a lot of one-sentence dialogue, this I didn't memorize. And I was tempted to go back and write it down, but I was like, I'll make my point with the first one. But, so... All right. A lot of one-sentence dialogue. Love scene, he can't perform.
Correct.
Next I wrote, wow. Because right after he can't perform, and she says it's fine.
Yep.
They cut to her in the kitchen, and she's imagining having sex with Robin.
Yeah.
No, she's not imagining having sex with Robin.
No, that happens when Raymond gets in.
Yeah. What happens is they imagine 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's saying it's their 3.5-year anniversary. She's having a memory from 4 years ago. Another character informing thing, which I appreciated. Yep. But then, and she remembers the night that they went out and fought together, and Robin shows up, and he's very cute, and Robin-y and stuff like that. So I immediately am like, oh no, she's imagining what it would be like to have great sex instead of being with lipstick Hank over there. And so I just wrote, wow. That's honestly, too bad.
I very much enjoyed that, that conflict in Dove's character, in Dawn's character.
I don't feel like it makes her look good, man. It's a weird place to put it.
So, okay. I don't think...
As a director, not as a writer. I have no problem with that as a piece of the... Okay. I just want to make sure you're responding to the right thing.
Right.
I feel it's an odd thing to cut from him not being able to perform...
Right.
To Robin showing up in a memory of Robin saving the day and flirting with her at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, butterflies.
Yeah, I think that... I honestly think that's completely fine, because later on in the episode, we do find out that Dick and Dawn had...
Of course it's fine, but it's like,
whoa.
No,
so here's my argument for it. I think that Dawn is not a fulfilled character yet. She shouldn't obviously. Be. We just met her.
Yeah.
So the fact that she wants to be with Hank, she wants to be with him, and she, that whole Dick Grayson part of her life is in the past. She's recalling it because she was just in a very intimate situation where a lot of emotions are being
I'm not saying it's not earned. I'm just saying, and I'm not even saying, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on her.
Right.
I'm not trying to slut shame Dove.
Right.
What I'm just saying, boy, it's too bad for Hank.
I think that aspect of their relationship builds them up to be more compelling characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think just how I would write the character, he probably takes her for granted. And I think there is definitely subtext of...
I do not think he takes her for granted. I think he is terrified of losing her.
I think that's true, but I felt like there was an expectation in the ring scene. But maybe it was fear for her that she would have to go, no, I don't want to. I don't know.
Right,
The
right.
jury's out.
Yeah.
But also when Robin shows up and she says, oh, you're 4 years too late.
Yeah.
Another wow line.
No, I don't think that was... Well, yeah, so that
I
goes
think what
into...
she's saying is,
like,
that's the road I would have traveled if you'd have made that a thing, but you didn't, so I stayed with this.
Yeah, and I think that's completely fine.
Yeah.
Because
of course,
I'm not a fan
I'm
of...
not saying it's not fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going, oh man, that's tough stuff, Hank.
It is, but in the 3.5 years that they've had together, they've obviously grown as people. Like, she loves him regardless of his ability to perform in multiple aspects, whether it's in the bedroom or in crime fighting. Like, she doesn't hold him to the regard that she holds Dick. God, man, I really wish they named that character different.
It's a different time, man.
She doesn't hold him to the same regard, and he holds himself to that regard. I don't think he compares himself to Batman. He compares himself to Robin. I think that's...
I don't think he's there yet.
The crux of that character.
I liked the pineapple scene. What do I mean by that? I like the scene where it's Robin and Raven in the motel room,
yep.
and she's watching Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And I just like that scene. I little scenes like this are what I want out of your one sentence scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Where and I'll give you the second family thing being communicated in that scene, and I did sort of miss that, but and this scene might not be that different, but there was something very like I like when two characters are connecting. When she goes anything but pineapple, and he goes duh or whatever, like of course that goes without saying. And I like that she's watching Game of Thrones, and he's like trying to like. Should you be watching that? Like,
yeah,
you know,
he doesn't know how to be a parent.
Yeah. He has no idea how to talk to children. He was raised in the Wayne house. This episode, by the way, is when it's the second episode that the family's introduced.
Isn't
Maybe
it?
not.
No,
No,
they get introduced at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because the whole big plot point at the end of the second episode is that they throw Dove off of the roof.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll get there.
When we meet the family, I wrote those sick bastards are playing Monopoly in the morning.
Yeah. It just shows you the type of hatred and violence and vitriol that family lives for. That they play Monopoly.
I wrote
at all.
I wrote I didn't like the 4 years too late line. I didn't like that's how she says hi.
Yeah.
I like that line. No, let me just. I don't. So I don't like the placement of it.
Right, I think
like I don't. I hate that she opens the door. She hasn't seen him in a while, and she's like, "Ugh, we're still not dating."
I don't think that was it. I think that the 4 years too late line was you had an opportunity to be a part of our group.
Yeah.
And the fact that you stumble in right now, it's not happening.
So here's the thing I like.
And then it happens.
I think this speaks volumes to me. And where I'm at.
Sure.
With my last note is something I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Which is, he says, "Don't do this. You guys can't take this."
Right.
We keep saying, let's be more specific for people.
Yeah.
So Hawk and Dove want to. Well, yeah, I know. I just feel like I'm not being specific enough.
Okay, gotcha.
Hawk and Dove want to do this job to stop these gun runners.
Yep.
And they're going over Dove is explaining the case to Dick. And he's saying you can't handle this, which I don't, and in the context that he's saying it, I don't think he's saying, oh, you guys aren't tough enough to.
No.
He's saying this is not a 2-person job.
No, but that's how Hawk takes it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she, of course, is saying, no, it's not a 2-person job. That's why I need you to help.
Right.
And then he, of course, is saying, well, I'm a monster now, or something along those lines.
Yeah. You don't know what I've become.
And so, yes, that is the exact line. And of course, so they go on the job, and they're screwed. They're outgunned, and Robin shows up and saves the day quietly, in a really cool way. Like, just a great action scene.
Yeah, it reminded me of the scene from BVS. Where Batman takes out all the crooks.
Yes.
It
or
definitely...
from the first Dark Knight movie.
Yeah.
Like, when that was invented. Had to mention a better Batman movie that happened in. That's all. So and then at the end, he just very grouchily says, "You're welcome," and storms off. And it was the most Bruce thing you could possibly do.
It was
and
wonderful.
I love, like, he just, this is the thing, when Dick Grayson is done right, he's Bruce's son that is pissed that he's his son.
Right.
It's oldest boy syndrome.
In that moment, it showed Dick becoming the thing that he didn't want to be.
I really
He doesn't want to be Batman, and in that specific moment,
it's such a Batman thing.
Exactly.
And not just the way he took them out, the way he walks up and says, "You're welcome."
Yep.
Which also, when he's saying, "I told you so."
Yeah, no, he's not saying.
Which is
welcome.
how Batman fucking talks to people.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't suffer fools.
And then he just storms off.
Yeah.
Because he's pissed that he was right and nobody fucking listened to him.
Which you would be.
And yeah, it gets frustrating being right.
He cares about them. He just doesn't want them to know that he cares about them.
Oh, and the only reason he goes is because Raven says you have to.
Right, exactly.
They have a heart to heart. And when they got together, it was murder.
Yeah.
It's a heart to heart.
I
know you did, buddy. I just wanted to say it.
So in that episode, Raven finds out that Dick was planning on leaving her with Hawk and Dove.
Oh, right.
Which causes conflict because she again is being abandoned by the people that she cares about, or that she wants to care about her.
It's worth mentioning that they had a specific conversation where she said, she talks about a fear of abandonment since losing her mother.
Yep. And
asks Dick if he's gonna leave, and he says no. And then the next time we see him, I want to refer back to my note of I don't think I like this guy.
Yeah, that's fine. As of right now, I don't think Dick is a character that we're supposed to enjoy. I think that he's the kind of character who does what needs to be done, but he doesn't care how it's going to make you feel. It's the same reason why he shows up and did the "You're welcome" line. He does what needs to be done even if he doesn't want to do it. And he's okay being that character, that guy.
But it's dodgy writing. Let's do a quick fix this, right? Let's just say for a moment we're writing the show and I don't like that idea.
Sure.
And I'm saying, well, how else could we do that? How else could we accomplish?
What do you want to accomplish?
I want to accomplish Dick wanting to abandon this girl after promising her.
Okay.
So, but I want to do it in a way that's not so heavy-handed, where, it's a real conundrum. Where he's not just going, "Here's some money," moments after it. Like, would it be crazy to have her around him more, and to have him feel like being around me is dangerous too? Like, using maybe, like, of course the family shows up looking for her, so you can't write around that. Right. Like, you can't make him go, "Oh, they were looking for Robin."
Well, so what is your issue with the...
Well,
that seems to me like something that would be built into Dick Grayson is, I have money, and money solves problems. Because that's the environment he was raised in.
I never thought of that. Here's my issue with it. Issue's not the word. Fine, I'm going to commit to issue. Here's my issue with it, is it makes him seem very cold.
Yeah.
No, hold on. It makes him, I think you're right. But it makes him seem cold in a way that is unapproachable. And I know they'll fix that and stuff like that, but I want him to have like a little bit of hint of more kind of warmth and more kind of like a willingness to connect. And I understand where we found him is in a place where he ran away from Gotham. He doesn't want to connect with people. Something happened, blah, 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 blah. But he's also hunting down child beady-uppy people.
Yep.
So it would seem to me that it would serve the narrative more to have him want her around.
So what if in the note, at the very bottom, he just put, "I will be back for you."
But that's what. Well, I think that's implied, isn't it?
So he says that I need you to watch out after her for a couple of months, but I think it's more so implied a couple of months is probably forever. Or at least until...
Raven straight up says that to her.
Yeah,
she says, "I could tell you're lying."
Right.
I just would have maybe spaced it out more, or maybe had it be like one of those classic misunderstandings. I wouldn't have done the letter and the money thing. I get what you're saying. I'm not saying it's a bad choice.
Classic misunderstanding is a worse choice than the money thing, because that is a trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a trope that's way overdone. That's
okay. All right.
You could put that on a sticky note on a fridge and fix that problem. I think that her finding the money with her not knowing everything that goes into it, I think that's
maybe if he acted it better, I would have.
Yeah, I can understand.
Maybe his performance was a little lackluster for me. Maybe if I saw it when he promised her, like, oh, that's not a real promise.
Yeah. Like it shows his fingers crossed.
Yes, that kind of acting.
He's pulling his back out.
Or he yanks at his collar. But yeah, okay, fine. We didn't fix it in a way that I'm necessarily happy with, but I see the merits of it a little bit more now.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the end of my notes. I loved that, and then there's a big fight.
Right.
We're not doing a catch-up. We're just talking about the show.
Exactly.
That's kind of the end I have to... The fight was cool.
Sure.
Hank says fuck a lot.
Yeah, he does.
You gotta love that.
I very much like Hawk's character. I think I like Hawk's character the most. I think he is the most compelling.
I haven't said enough about Starfire. I think that woman is... she might be my favorite actor on the show. I think she's doing a great performance.
Anna Diop, I think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
think it's a great performance. I love anyone who can do a foreign language.
So, real quick, have you met Garth yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Twice, and I just met him.
Okay.
Yeah. Not looking forward to it.
I think that the kid that got to play Garth is so good.
Okay.
I love the interactions that we've had with him so far. I have nothing but high expectations going into it.
Okay.
I very much feel as though he is going to be the thing that changes the way Dick feels. I think he's going to be the reason the team comes together.
I hope so.
If
I worry they might Jar Jar Binks him.
If they're doing the Doom Patrol thing, that means that he's already worked with the group. He sees how the group dynamic works and how it's beneficial. So I think that could...
The 4th episode's called Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Yeah. So now that we're done with what we've seen, do you want to go into...
Hopes?
Well, potential future, because they have released the names of all the episodes that are coming out this season.
I haven't read that.
There's an episode titled Jason Todd.
Yeah, but that was making the rounds on the internet. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I actually thought that would happen earlier in the show.
So do you think that as of Titans, Jason Todd's going to be alive or dead?
Oh, they'll definitely kill him. Why not kill him? Of course kill him.
Well, no. So you think that he's going to be alive and then is going to get killed?
Mm-hmm. I think after a year of not being Robin,
right?
Bruce has gotten the message, and he encountered this guy. I mean, just given the clip that I saw, it'll be a hell of a thing if he's still running around as Robin and Jason Todd has been a thing and has died, and it all happened in less than a year. Because we know he's been out of Gotham for a year.
So I think it's actually going to be the reverse. I think that Jason Todd will have already been dead by the time Titans has started, and the Jason Todd episode is him coming back.
But, so then so in your head, Dick never knew that there was a Robin Jason Todd?
No, I think he did.
But I
think that might be the reason that he leaves.
But in the scene that was making the rounds on the internet, he introduces himself.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, no, he introduces himself and he brags about being able to drive the Batmobile. But one wonders if he's not fibbing,
right? Just
to get under Dick's skin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I from what I've seen, I don't think that's realistic. Because then they would be flashing back to Dick meeting Jason, and again, we've known he's only been out of Gotham for a year, and I think Jason will.
I don't think you need to flash back to it. I think that a simple.
No, but buddy, I guess what I'm saying is what we've seen that they've actually filmed.
Yeah, no, this is all fan service right now because I haven't seen that scene.
No, I think Jason it'll be another nail in the coffin for Dick.
If that's the case, I don't think that they'll kill Jason that soon.
I think it'll be a second Robin is a reason for there to be a Nightwing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Another reason.
Yeah, I don't think that they would kill him off in this season.
I think that's the biggest. I think the two biggest reasons you introduce a Jason Todd is to get Nightwing in the mix and to eventually get Red Mask in the mix.
Right.
Because he's Red Hood, pardon me.
Yeah.
Because he's very much in vogue right now.
Right. I agree.
So I also agree. I think they'll try to get him in quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. There's also another episode called Donna Troy. So Wonder Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially bringing us to Themyscira, or at least trying to connect.
Is that the deal with Wonder Girl? I don't know anything about her. She is?
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was like an Amazon,
Descendant?
No, like I thought her mom maybe her mom was a proper Amazonian Themyscira person who maybe fell in love with a Fisher guy.
Right.
And went to like kind of an Aquaman origin. That's not her deal?
I don't believe so. I haven't read up on
I know nothing about her.
Yeah.
That's always just been my read from... Because in Young Justice, for instance,
mm-hmm.
she's very fangirly and seems very, like, in the know.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. But she doesn't strike me as, like, a person who grew up on an island around... But then again, like, that's just Young Justice.
Right. That aesthetic.
Yeah. So that was, like, the origin story I wrote for her in my head.
That's good.
What else? I can look it up. I'll look it up. I mean, I'll vamp you. Look it up. I hope they don't do that thing where they introduce too many people. I think that we won't see that many animals out of Garfield the first season.
I mean, we've already seen him swap, right?
Yeah. That's the most expensive superpower.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless you start making Starfire fly.
Yeah. You saw her cremate the dad, right? Yeah.
That was rad.
Yeah, I agree.
I like everything they're doing with her.
Yeah. So the episodes...
She's a very attractive woman as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the episodes... Episode 4 is Doom Patrol. Episode 5 is titled Together. So I have to assume that's when everybody meets. Episode 6 is The Messenger.
Training montage. Sorry, The Messenger.
Episode 7 is Jason Todd. Episode 8 is just called Angela. I don't know what that's in reference to.
DC is a big blind spot for me sometimes, yeah.
And then episode 9 is Donna Troy.
Is it 9 episodes per season?
That's what it's looking like.
Okay.
And honestly,
so we're not diving into Trigun first season. That's good. I was worried they were going to.
I mean, if I had to take a stab, I'd say The Messenger episode 6 might.
Oh yeah, it's going to be Trigun.
Into it. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be.
Do you also think that it's going to be Trigun, or do you think it's just going to be generic Devil? Because with all
they gotta do Trigun, don't you think?
Well, with all the Judeo-Christian symbolism, I think that lends more to it just being Satan.
I think they'll play around with that theme, but I think ultimately he will be named.
Yeah. I think I'm going to call my shot right here. I think that there's going to be a scene where Raven learns all about it, and then she's going to go to the group and she's going to say something along the lines of, I know what's inside of me. In your culture, you call him Satan. I know him as Trigun.
I love that. Yeah.
I think that could work.
That's a good gamble, my friend.
Yeah.
I'll put my money on that.
Yeah. But I think that's all we have for Titans right now.
That's all I got. I think the girl's playing Raven is doing.
Oh my goodness,
great!
She's so good.
Yeah, we shouldn't not mention that. It's easy to overlook because of how good of a job she's doing. Yeah. It's more than serviceable.
Because you when you see her in the act, you don't see her acting. You see Raven.
Yeah,
exactly.
And she's doing a great job. Mm-hmm. And I will say I don't think the same of the actor who's portraying Dick Grayson, but I'm willing to get. I'm not saying he's.
I don't think
he's doing great. I've got to be honest.
He's not the Dick Grayson you were raised with.
Performance-wise. Yeah. I'm not talking writing-wise.
I agree. Yeah. But I think that for the Dick Grayson that we're going to get, I think he's doing a great job.
All right, that's a different podcast.
Yeah.
What do we do now? We do homework?
So now let's go over last week's homework.
Let's go over. I'm chomping at the bit.
Okay.
I really want you to start.
Okay. So last week, you gave me another Star Trek episode.
Yes.
Star Trek... season 2, episode, I want to say 6.
I think it's 6.
Measure of a Man.
Yeah.
I'll look it up just to be sure.
This episode pairs very well with the other episode I made you see.
There was a
bit of an Easter egg.
episode 9.
There was a bit of an Easter egg. Hey, divisible by 3. We were close. Close it out.
Yeah, man. So, this is almost diametrically opposed to the episode you had me watch prior.
I'm wringing my hands together, ladies and gentlemen.
So, I've taken a couple of notes. The main plot arc of the episode is that there is a commander in Starfleet, Commander Maddox, who wants to continue the work that Data's creator did before he passed on.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Noonien Soon.
Yes, so he wants to perpetuate Dr. Noonien Soon's work, and to do that, he needs to disassemble Data as to gain.
Well, not to correct, he wants to.
Right. Yeah. That's what I said.
No, you said needs, and that's a really important distinction.
Okay. Yes. So he wants to. Yeah, that's actually a part of my notes. So he wants to disassemble Data in order to find out the subtle nuances of his programming and the technology inside of it. Data is not a fan of this. He doesn't believe that Commander Maddox has the aptitude to do it at this current time.
And Maddox isn't presenting as a person who necessarily does. He has
no.
He's very good at listing his goals.
Right. He knows what he wants to do, but he doesn't have the ability to do it just yet. Now, what comes into question is, does Data have the privilege of choice?
Because it's interesting.
Yep.
Because Picard at first really sees the value. You know, we've seen there's been a season and a quarter of Data,
right?
And a big
him just being a sex robot.
Well, well, you know what? A big thing that how Wesley kind of saves the day in that episode. Yep. A big thing that will happen in Star Trek and continue to happen is they would be screwed unless Wesley was on the ship or unless Data was on the ship.
Right.
And so Picard immediately is like, I could see the merits in...
Yeah, if we could do this, it would be fantastic for everybody.
Yeah.
So, some of my notes. The main theme of the show is, what is it to be human? Eventually it gets to the point where in order to save Data from being disassembled and having his memories not wiped, but diminished, there needs to be a sort of trial to determine whether or not if Data has sentience.
Well, may I?
Sure.
So, I'm just going to run through real quick.
Yeah.
Because Picard needs it explained by Data at one point. Because Data is resonant to be okay with, let's call it surgery.
Right.
He doesn't want to cooperate with the surgery.
Correct.
And Picard actually has a sit down with him where he tries to convince him this could be, maybe you don't understand what people will get out of this.
Yep.
And at this point, I actually want to stop and say, Data's issue, at the beginning of this episode, Data's playing poker with the crew, which becomes a thing for the rest of the series.
Yep. The
senior staff sit down and play poker together. And Data, being Data, has read every book on it and all that kind of stuff.
He's aptly prepared.
Yeah. And then when he sits down to play, there is a human element. There was this X factor to poker that you can't read in a book. And it's illustrated in this very kind of thin way with Riker having a great poker face.
Yep.
But it's an analogy, or it's an example that Data cites later on when he's explaining to Maddox, this is why I don't want to do this.
Right.
Because you might be able to give me my memories back, but for Data, it would be very much like somebody else telling him, hey, this is what you did.
Exactly.
He'd be starting new.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Picard sits him down to try to explain to him why, hey, a lot more of you would be great, Data has this great scene where he asks, Geordi's eyes.
Yep.
Since he's blind and he has this visor, doesn't he see a lot more than human eyes are able to?
Right. So why isn't everybody in Starfleet required?
And this is the great moment. And
exactly.
This is why you hire Patrick Stewart, because he has this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk about this over and over, is the performance in this episode where Patrick Stewart, his entire body language changed. His face looks crestfallen because it dawns on him, Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would suck.
We wouldn't be as human.
Yeah.
I had an issue.
Let me just get this out. And so it's at this point that a lot of other stuff has happened, but it's at this point that Picard goes to the JAG officer because they're docked.
Yes,
that's part of the reason that this is even able to happen. Correct. He goes to the local JAG officer who he has a history with.
Yep.
And if you're interested, I can tell you some stuff about that. But and he says we're going to fight this transfer,
right?
Because Maddox is now making it compulsory.
Correct.
We've hit this point.
Ordering.
Yes. That's it.
He refers to Data as a toaster, or the JAG officer comparison to a toaster. So, a couple of notes I have. I wasn't a huge fan of Commander Maddox. I think that because I write soap operas in my spare time, I'm constantly thinking of how to get the most out of a episode, the most gray out of an episode. I'm a huge fan of my polar opposites, my dark side, my light side. I like them a lot. But I think that it could have made a more compelling case if Commander Maddox was just that step away. But Data still didn't want to do it.
Right.
Because he would still lose.
Yeah.
He would lose the themes and the
You're not
je
wrong.
ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
I think that if Commander Maddox had it down and he knew it, but Data was being selfish, and that's how they showed that he was human, I think that could have made
you keep
a really
saying
cool
human. I think a big point they're trying to make. By the way, I love that note. I don't want to sound like I'm that's a really fucking good note because it does give him actually a little bit more character.
Right.
It's not just going, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Correct.
It's going, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, but I don't want to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's great that he knows what he's doing, but do you want him to crack open your chest and make your heart better?
Right, exactly.
Your heart's fine, right?
I just want my heart to do its heart thing.
No, that's a great note. No, please continue.
I wanted to know what happened to the security officer because they made it seem as though she was a...
Tasha died in season 1.
Okay, so Data has a portrait of Tasha that's used in his trial to, again, further put validity towards his humanity.
Because, let's just say, in case we haven't, the case is, Maddox is saying, this guy is no different than a computer. And would we let a computer we give a command to not follow it? Or would we fix the computer?
Correct.
In Picard's case is, this is a living being.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify.
No worries. I love that they put Riker in the situation that he was in. It made 0 sense. There's 0 reason for him to give anything less than 51%.
Buddy, my friend, a great thing that happens, it's a little trick they play on you in Star Trek,
right?
Is always at the worst time, someone's understaffed.
Yeah.
And then some guy who it's not his job has to do it. A medical officer has to be a security chief. This is a big thing that happens in Star Trek.
Yeah. But I love the situation that he's put in because it breeds this sort of is this how he feels? Is it just the work that he's putting into it? He has to put on a good performance or else Data is just gone.
Yeah.
So all of his arguments have to come from somewhere.
Someplace genuine.
Genuine. And when he takes off Data's arm, it hit me hard. Mm-hmm. And then he turned Data off. Mm-hmm. And that, I paused at that time. I needed to step away for a second because it was starting to get to me. I was like, all right, dude, you guys are supposed to be friends.
He #lawyered him too because he goes, Pinocchio's wings.
Yeah.
Pinocchio's
strings have been cut.
It's a great character moment for him.
I completely agree.
It's why it's one of my favorite episodes because I also think it speaks a little bit to the concept of human evolution that Star Trek is constantly trying to communicate where sometimes we think of evolution as this very literal thing.
Right.
We grow wings so that we can adapt better. But sometimes evolution is a cultural and intellectual thing. And even though emotionally he doesn't agree with this. And intellectually, he doesn't agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
He is able to put those aside and do the best job he can.
He's literally able to become the devil's advocate.
Yes.
And it is wonderful.
And it really is, buddy. I love that you saw that.
So then we have Picard talking to Whoopi Goldberg?
Yes. So I just want to tell you about Guinan.
Yep.
She is basically a mortal race. I think they're called Trellians. Sorry, other Star Trek nerds. But she is your Obi-Wan Kenobi. She's your man on the mountain.
She's your sage. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
So when
I'm so happy we're talking about this scene.
When they started talking, immediately before they got there, I was like, "Oh, okay, so they're doing like a slavery analog. That definitely tracks." And then they immediately just they brought it up, like, what do you call a race of subservient people who have to do what they're told?
He says expendable.
Yeah, exactly. Reminded me of Clone Wars.
Yeah. It is that concept, but it also, I'm going to say it again, his performance
is
in that scene
wonderful.
Is and it's not the same as earlier when him and Data were talking and this point dawns on him. This is a bit of a like, it's a difference between coming to grips with something, which I think was the Data scene, and this is a aha moment.
Correct. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
You know what? There isn't much of a mystery to, like, the naked truth of it becomes so clear to him. Mm-hmm. And it's this guy's, it's all in his face.
Yep.
And also in the way he's delivering the lines, because he delivers those lines in a very measured way. But it's measured in the way where it's not, you're trying to think of what you're going to say. It's measured in a way of, this is something everyone knows. It's the way he paces it. It's wonderful.
I agree.
And then after that conversation, we sit down to what I think is the height of Star Trek, which is Picard's
monologue.
Yeah.
So Picard goes into a wonderful, wonderful speech about what makes a human being sentient, what makes something sentient. And he refutes facts, or
Will you allow me?
Maddox.
Will you allow me?
Are you going to go through the entire thing?
No,
I'm going to not let you go through.
No. I will. If you grant me this indulgence,
Sure.
I'd like to do the beginning and the very end.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But I'm going to do the beginning, and I want to break in the middle and have you kind of break down your interpretation of what happens after this. But this is so after they have the property conversation.
Correct.
We hide this under a very comfortable term, property. That's how Guinan and Picard end that conversation.
Yes.
Picard, which is a great fucking line.
Yeah.
And we cut to the courtroom. And the last time we were in this courtroom, Riker just
destroyed. Just destroyed Picard.
We cut to Patrick Stewart looking very, very comfortable and very confident, and this statuesque sentinel of justice sitting in a chair. Mm-hmm. And he says, and I'm not going to do a Patrick Stewart voice.
Okay.
I'm just going to read this as is, because I actually think it's really great writing. He says, Commander Riker has dramatically demonstrated to this court that Lieutenant Commander is a machine. Do we deny that? No, because it is not relevant. We are two machines, just machines of a different type. Commander Riker has also reminded us that Lieutenant Commander Data was created by human. Do we deny that? No. Again, it is not relevant. Children are created by the building blocks of their parents' DNA. Are they property? And then he calls Data to the stand.
Mm-hmm. They go through their whole ordeal of Commander Maddox is asked what makes somebody sentient, and he brings up consciousness, he brings up intelligence, and
intelligence, self-awareness, and consciousness. That's Maddox's criteria for sentience.
Yes. And immediately, Picard knocks out two of the items. And he leaves it open to interpretation that the only way that they're going to get that third criteria is by having Data around. And I think that was...
And it's a cool, like, classic courtroom scene where it's played wonderfully because it's this classic, like, Picard is grilling him more and more intensely.
Yeah.
And
permission to treat the witnesses hostile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Maddox is losing ground. He's not able to explain what self-awareness is. He can't put his finger on what makes him self-aware in that data. And Picard, informed by Riker's dramatic ending, starts ranting and pointing at other people in the courtroom. Can you tell me what's self-awareness? Can you? And this is... I almost don't want to read it because Patrick Stewart does it so well.
Obviously, I highly recommend anybody to check out just this episode. You can probably skip the naked now.
No, watch the naked now. Because then you see Data have sex and why that is even referenced. But he says, after he do-use everybody, he says, Your Honor, the courtroom is a crucible. In it we burn away irrelevances until all we are left is pure product, the truth, for all time. Now, sooner or later, this man or others like him will succeed in replicating Commander Data. And the decision you reach today will determine how we will regard this creation of our genius. It will reveal the kind of people we are, what he is destined to be. And some other stuff. But I love that crucible line, man. I love it so much.
Yeah,
and
it was great.
And it's, and Data, because he's Data and he's the best person ever, they win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Data's got no hard feelings towards Riker.
So that's my last note.
Uh-huh.
Again, as somebody who wants drama and who I want characters who are always seeking fulfillment but never get there.
Right.
I think there should have been hard feelings. I not so much that I think there should have been. If I were writing it, there would have been.
That's the tough thing about Data, because he doesn't have feelings.
Well, we've already seen him have feelings. He has a feeling
not in the way that
security officer.
Not the way that we interpret them.
Right. So he can have his own feelings all their own.
Right.
But I think that him having a subtle grudge against Riker and them having to fix that bond,
right,
I think that may have done more. That being said, I wouldn't trade the ending of that episode for anything.
Yeah, it's don't worry, you're not going to get more Star Trek. I did want you to see. I'm sorry if I said this last week, but like Star Trek and James Bond, I like it when it's really bad.
Yeah,
and I like it when it's
very good.
Yeah,
yes.
And I just wanted you to see those two shades of it because, I actually really thought like he's going to get this is going to be a hoot, this weird one. And because that is really like when it's bad makeup, it's bad directing decisions, it's weird performances, all of it
hits everything.
Yeah, yeah. And then when it's good, it's this courtroom where Patrick Stewart can fucking nail you right where you live, and the script. I mean, Your Honor, the courtroom is a crucible. In it, we burn away irrelevancy until all we're left is a pure product. The truth is a great string of lines.
I agree. So let's transition into something that we're going to talk significantly less about. I gave you Nailbiter last week.
We'll talk significantly less about it for two reasons. One, because it's a lot longer.
Significantly. Well, to be fair, I only tasked you with the homework of one issue. Zach, how much of Nailbiter did you read?
Oh, I read the entire series.
Okay.
And real quick, an exchange me and my fiance had last night was, did you spend $50 on comics this week? And then I said, I love you. And she said, you're very handsome and I won't change anything about you. And that's really how that conversation went. It's not.
I'm jealous of the relationship that you guys have.
It's not how that went at all. She wasn't mad, but she was like, $50 is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
So, not so much, I don't need you to vamp for me, but I do want to pull the comic up.
Sure.
Okay. Nailbiter is a great series, guys. If you read comics, and, if you read comics, I'm not even a fan of horror, particularly. Mm-hmm. It's in the horror genre, but it's way more of a detective story.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's way more, I asked Vince before we recorded this if he ever saw True Detective. And I love season 1 of True Detective. There are things to like about season 2. I would go to bat for season 2. A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. Nailbiter. Here's why I brought up True Detective.
Right.
I think the ending of True Detective is a lot more. And I wasn't comparing this to True Detective when I was reading it.
Right.
but I feel like it's relevant to my overall issue with it.
There's similarities to draw at the end, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But my overall issue with it was I didn't like the payoff that much.
Right.
And folks, it's not that it's disappointing. I really, really, really recommend this comic. There's a lot of great dialogue. There's so much great dialogue. You want to
talk about dialogue?
Yeah.
It's so good.
A lot of great dialogue, a lot of great little moments, and really, I think especially for a comic book, pretty good fleshed out characters for a genre that it's real easy to just have people be a certain thing. And it's not that people aren't being those character, those archetypes.
Right.
They absolutely are.
No, Josh Williamson is, he's a master.
It's just, it's what I think Bendis does well. It's using the tools and the bolts and nuts exactly what you're supposed to, exactly how you're supposed to, with the right.
Did you notice the Bendis insert?
Of course I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought you did that for me. I thought that was part of the reason you recommended this. Because I know you like Bendis. He's going to have a cameo in it where he looks a little bit like a puss. But there's also in in one of the books, I think it's book 3 or 4, there's clearly...
So why don't we talk a little bit about what Nailbiter's about? Because we've just been talking about the parallel.
I don't want to talk too much about it, but there's this. What's the best way to start this? Here's what I think the best way to start this is there's this town in Oregon called Buckaroo that inexplicably breeds serial killers.
Correct.
And
16
of them, but it actually didn't get attention on a national scale until the latest guy was caught. He is a gentleman called I just read these books. His last name's Warren. Everybody calls him Warren. And he's a nail biter. All the serial killers have weird themes, like serial killers do, kind of a la your Silence of the Lambs.
So okay. I've asked you this off podcast, and you sort of meandered around it.
Right.
Do you have a favorite of the Buckaroo 16?
No.
Really? Okay.
I don't ever identify with the serial killers. I don't ever. Here's why. You call me a pessimist and stuff like that. I really don't like people that kill people. And it's hard for me to go... It's why I also don't like horror movies that much. I'm never the guy who goes, oh, they deserve that. I'm the guy who goes, oh, they could have changed. They could have grown. Like, give them some time. I think part of what makes a person able to like a serial killer, even completely fictional ones, is you're able to go, oh, I see that perspective, or I see that point of view, or maybe even a tiny little, oh, I wish. But I just don't ever have those feelings.
That's completely fine.
And it's not me. It's also not me taking the work. It's not me taking the comic too seriously. Right. It's me explaining it didn't even register to me. To even
no worries.
None of them stood out to me.
Okay, so let's continue on. Buckaroo breed serial killers. The most recent one just got caught.
There's this FBI agent Carol, who just in this brief introduction, we're kind of led to believe that he was leading the investigation. He's the guy who caught Nailbiter, and he's the guy who's really noticed this trend. And it's implied that he's obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. And he in a guys, I don't know why that if I saw this in a TV show it would bother me, but when I saw it in a comic, I was loving it. In a great introduction, we meet this federal agent. No, he's an army.
Yeah, he's ex-military.
Yes.
Yes.
He's in a motel room. It's dark. He's got a fucking gun to his head.
Yep.
And he's gonna fucking do it. And then his phone rings.
His heart's beating.
Yeah. You might want to cut all that because I want to say that it starts out great with a clear SWAT team surrounding this house. Carol's clearly leading the charge.
Yep.
And they break in. There's corpses everywhere. The nail-biter is sitting there chewing on somebody's hand.
Yes. So the nail-biter's gimmick is that he will, if he sees you biting your nails, all of the Buckaroo serial killers have this weird almost
there's this social
fairy tale,
there's this
parable,
social faux pas you can commit that will make them kill you. But sometimes it's not even a faux pas. There's this gentleman, the Good Samaritan, who would start
That's my
fires or just scream help,
He
and
just
then when you would
screams for
come
help.
up to help him.
He would shoot you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also
That's my
wonder
favorite
if
of the
that
first
wasn't
16.
Warren.
What?
I wonder if they don't... I think they're implying that was Warren.
The Good
And
Samaritan?
he
no.
framed somebody.
No.
I have to read it a second time.
Yeah.
I read a lot of this while working.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, no, I want to do broad strokes, and then anything you want to ask me about, I want to answer.
Sure.
So, it's a great detective story, and I mean, it's got those serial killer elements in it. Your Silence of the Lambs. I would say that it's a very good. I mean, I guess True Detective is already sort of Silence of the Lambs meets a detective story.
Yeah.
But I would say it's Silence of the Lambs meets a True Detective meets a comic book.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it is very comic booky. It's very slasher filmy.
Slasher filmy.
Most of the at least in the first two books, most of the serial killers were introduced to wear masks, have kind of a costume that they wear.
Exactly.
A lot of cool mystery. A lot of sometimes. Beloved listeners, you might feel like you're being led to the water. Is that the phrase? It might feel like nothing's happening and they're leading you to, and that might be sort of the case. But it is if you don't like roller coasters, don't get on them.
Right.
Like it's kind of the deal with these detective stories is they follow leads that actually don't mean anything, and not to the point that they're pointless.
No. Everything leads up to the end, but there are definitely parts where they hit the dead ends.
Yes,
I think so.
I want to read. I'm reading it a second time.
I read this every year around this time, around Halloween.
That's the other thing.
Yeah,
it nailed the timing.
Super Halloween, yeah.
And it is also, guys. He told me to read one issue, and I read 6 graphic novels. I read 50 to 70 issues. Because it also is just me, the type of person I am. I'm not a completist, but once you spark my interest, the way that book did, it genuinely did. It wasn't just me wanting to know who done it. I want to go on this adventure with these characters. Yeah. And there's clearly a neat cameo. I didn't look it up, but there's a flashback where they go to the circus.
Yep.
And there's this guy Vlad and this girl Casey. Mm-hmm. I think they're from different comics. I actually didn't look it up, but I could tell it was this is
it's
crossover.
A
Yeah. That was neat. Broad strokes about the book. There's, that's all I want to say. Actually, those are my broad strokes about the book. I really enjoyed. There's no one that stands out in my head as being like, oh, you could have lost this guy, or I have this specific note. It was a fun ride. It was a little about the end, but I also think that's subjective.
Yeah, I think that different people get different things out of it.
Yeah.
The issue that you have with it is completely valid. We're not going to talk about it.
I really don't, because if anyone listens to this and reads comics and hasn't read this book, you really should. And I don't want to ruin the end. As much as I don't give a fuck about spoilers, this was good enough that I just really think you should check it out.
You should go into it on your own.
Yeah. You should check it out.
We can hype it up for you as much as we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that your issues with the end are completely valid, and you have your reasoning for it. But I think that different people get different things out of it, and I very much am with you that it's not about the ending. Mm-hmm. The ending is just the period at the end.
Yeah.
The experience that you get out of it is the adventure that you're going on.
Because it's also not it's not like Lost,
right?
Where they're screwing with you just to screw with you, and there's not a point.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely, at least I got the impression, oh no, this is what they were always doing. Are you a fan of the Nailbiter character? When you read him, is it exciting? Is it like a Tyler Durden-y type of character for you?
It's definitely not a Tyler Durden-y thing.
Don't you get that vibe that that's what they wanted? They want us to think he's cool and sexy and fun.
I think they wanted that, but I don't think they expect us to imagine ourselves as him, which is when anytime somebody brings up Tyler Durden, there's
no, yeah.
I think that they're saying, you should want to be this person.
I thought that's how they were presenting him.
No, I thought
that's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but it's how I...
Right, now, I thought they were just trying to get across that, serial killers aren't always your, the hills have eyes, backwood rednecks. They can be upstanding members of society, and they can be people who you want to be.
Right.
But then they do these things that are terrible and bad.
I didn't get that at all. I got, oh, this guy's cool, and he's got it figured out. And he's never in a room that he's always the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah. But I don't think you were supposed to want to be Warren.
Okay. But did you like him?
Yeah. I liked him.
I don't like him.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm a Finch guy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Pulling for Finch.
Yeah.
That's the agent who was contemplating suicide at the beginning.
Oh, God, it's so great. They do so many awesome, weird, cliche things with Finch that I just love it. And I've cast him as Carl Weathers in my head.
I can dig it.
Yeah. It's just Action Jackson.
Okay, so let's get into homework for this week.
Bubba, can I wear this?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I didn't steal a cigarette from my podcast co-host. I didn't. We should also do. We never introduced Gaston. Gaston, our third, the curly to our Mo and Larry.
Oh yeah, I meant to take a picture of Gaston.
If you guys ever hear him meowing,
on Twitter,
he's there. He's our third podcaster. He has stuff to say about this stuff. He has to watch it with me. Buddy, I didn't think of anything to give you. I was so sure after I made you watch the first episode of Star Trek that I was going to make you watch Measure of a Man. Right. It was just in my head perfectly.
Right. That was going to happen.
So I'm interested to see what you're going to give me and see if it inspires me.
Okay. Well, I have already talked to you about the homework that you're getting this week, last week, because I asked you if you wanted to cry, and you said no at that time.
Oh no!
But I think that there's no time to cry like the present. So, I am giving you a comic, and it's also going to be significantly easier on your wallet, because instead of it being 7 graphic novels, it is 3 issues.
Okay.
Write this down. It is a series called We Three, one word.
We Three.
It's W-E and then the number 3.
Oh, okay, sure.
It is written by Grant Morrison.
Oh, okay, I'm on board.
Has art by Frank Quietly.
Oh, I'm even more on board.
Published by Vertigo. I'm going to give you absolutely nothing going into it.
Okay.
And
good, don't give me anything.
Oh, I won't. And I am excited for your text message later on this week saying,
where I'm like,
you made me cry, you son of a bitch.
We'll see. Sometimes I'm an easy crier and sometimes...
Get your tissues.
Cool.
Get your tissues, bud.
All right. This might be a tough one on me. All right. Well, that didn't inspire me that much.
Sorry.
I don't want to... Here's what I don't want to do. Because for the pilot, I gave you a Marvel comic that I really like a lot. Very mainstreamy thing that you just hadn't checked out yet. Then we did 2 episodes of Star Trek.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of something. You have all these cool niche things that you know. I don't. I have a little bit more mainstreamy taste.
That's fine.
Sort
because I had this interest in the niche, I kind of lost out on a lot of mainstream stuff. So.
Oh God, nerdy things we did this week.
Oh yeah, nerdy things we did this week.
Let me go first because mine will be quicker.
Sure thing.
I watched a bunch of Titans and took notes.
Is that the only thing you've done this week?
No, because I read a lot of. I read Nailbiter obsessively.
Right.
It's like I hate for my nerdy thing I did this week to also be my homework.
Right.
But I was assigned one issue and I could not stop.
Okay. Do you have any nerdy things coming up?
No, because here's the other nerdy thing I did was I watched basically all of Daredevil.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and not positive feelings about it, honestly. I've not so much
that next week.
Not so much artistic issues. Let's do that next week. Okay. Let's lay that down. Let's do Daredevil.
We'll do Daredevil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just whatever. Have you seen any of season 3 yet?
No, none of season 3. So
all right, watch what you can. I won't spoil anything, we'll talk about it whatever you feel like talking about. But I don't know. Nah, for me, it's less artistic stuff. I won't have notes like I did for Titans, and it's more just the overall feeling.
Okay.
Spoiler for it. It's such a slog.
All right. Well,
yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about Defenders, but I got through it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't worry about painting. I never worry about painting your opinion because right. I know you'll just
good luck.
Yeah. You'll come with almost opposition of me a lot of the time. But that was another nerdy thing I did this week. That was a little bit to my to quote Brian Michael Bendis.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to list this as nerdy things.
Sure.
I watched Phantom Thread because I love Daniel Day-Lewis.
Gotcha.
And I'd watch him read the phone book. And Phantom Thread was fucking weird, man. People loved it, and I was expecting. Look, it was excellent,
Right.
but it was. I can't wait to watch it again and see how I feel about it. Those are the nerdiest things I did this week. It was a double XP weekend on Battlefront 2, so I played a lot of Battlefront 2 by myself while listening to podcasts.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't really do too much nerdy stuff this week. I edited the first episode of the podcast. It was my girlfriend's birthday.
What? Why didn't I know? I would have done something.
No need, man.
What'd you guys do? This is
We-
not nerdy, but I want to know.
We went to...
You better keep this on the pod.
Yeah, definitely. I'll leave it in. We went to Hibachi.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was fun. Nice little night out. She loves sushi and I love meat. So,
Yeah. Where was that? Saturday or Friday?
her birthday's on the 25th, but we went out last night
Okay.
with her family.
Okay.
We watched Evolution, which is
You don't have to tell me.
It's a wrestling pay-per-view.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking the Ivan Reitman film.
No.
Evolution.
I wouldn't make my girlfriend sit through that for her birthday.
Why? It's a joy.
It's
Ghostbusters with shotguns.
You're correct. We watched the all women's pay-per-view, first ever all women's pay-per-view for wrestling. That was awesome. It was super fun.
What happens on a show like that?
It's
Just ladies wrestling?
it's a culmination of storylines coming together. Yeah,
Now,
It's-
can we say her name?
Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah. as
Okay,
long as you don't
so
say her
does
last
Liz
name,
like-
it's fine.
Does Liz like?
So when we first started dating, I had watched wrestling when I was growing up, but then had a drop off where I just stopped completely, and then I got back into it after finding a YouTube series that I liked, and I started watching it again. And she had her reservations about it. Oh, it's fake, and I got her to realize that it being fake does not fault it in the slightest.
Yeah, or take away from the athleticism
Right.
or the
Exactly.
Mhm.
And after I sort of drilled that home, she eventually grew to love it, and now she I would say she
So
likes it
this
more
is
than
the
I
thing
do.
you guys enjoy as a unit.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah,
isn't you
definitely.
steamrolling her like, babe, it's your birthday, look.
Yeah, no, this was
This
definitely.
is all the chicks though.
Yeah,
You
in
should
the-
like this. You also have a vagina.
Oh boy, in the beginning it felt like that, but eventually she started to like
I did
just like the characters.
I did that to Kelly with Star Trek.
Yeah, understandable. But yeah, no. So we watched that. I did a little bit more writing on the soap opera.
How's it going?
It's going well. I picked out a title for it.
Ooh, can we know?
Grimsby Hollow.
Grimsby
Hollow,
Hollow.
which
Gotcha.
is the small town where
Right.
it takes place. But yeah, beyond that, I didn't really do too much. Played a lot of Overwatch. That's my video game of choice.
Yeah, my brothers live Overwatch. It's why.
Nobody loves Overwatch. Everybody hates Overwatch, but has to play it due to some weird compulsion.
Okay.
Do you want to plug anything?
At nerdy_pod. And if anyone does and has something they want us to talk about, we fucking will.
Yeah, by all means. we had a list of things that we're going to talk about, and we'll need to.
That list exists.
Yeah, we'll need to
I
find
just don't
it.
have it in front of me.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I know exactly where it is.
Okay.
I also we said in that meeting we'll see where it goes.
Exactly.
I kind of like discussing it
Fly
on
by the
pod.
seat of our pants.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that has been this episode of Nerdy Neighbors.
And as always, here's the closing outro.
Nerdy
Skit, skit, scat, skit, skit, scat. Wow.